got a bidet!
Hey everybody, and welcome back for another video. In today's video, we got some exciting news. Star Wars: The Bad Batch is back for season 2, and we got 2 episodes out for this very first week. And so, like in the past with season 1, we're going to do episode discussions here. This video will cover 2 because we got 2 of them, so we're not going to have a separate one coming out for that. But yeah, we're going to talk about the episodes first, and then talk about our thoughts on them. And then wrap it up. So we will have spoilers if you are new to this playlist or new to the channel. So this is your warning. But to kick it off with the very first episode, we start the show with the part that's like probably the most engaging with the trailer for the show. And that's when we see the group on an island and running away from humongous crab looking things. We're just kind of thrown into a little mission that they're doing. We really don't get any background on, why they're there or what they're getting. We just kind of see some crazy stuff happening. Some noteworthy stuff, though, from this intro is that Tech has been quizzing and testing Omega on different things about ships. And so she's kind of like doing her studies, and then they get interrupted because the rest of the group of the clones are running away from the crabs and hauling the stuff that they went there to get. So Tech and Omega go to save them, and it's kind of a cool sequence here. We've kind of seen, well, clearly we've seen that Omega has grown up a little bit since we last seen her, so we know some time has passed. But she's back to her very, very good archery skills that we saw in the first season. She really reminded me of Legolas from Lord of the Rings, as she's dangling from a cord from the ship and taking people out. I should say crabs out, not people. But eventually they do catch up to the rest of the clones and pick them up and, take all the good stuff away. And we head back to their friend's place where they keep getting their missions from. Her name slips my mind. Do you remember what it was? One brief second. As soon as I see it, I know I'm going to remember it. It's the Trandoshan lady that has all the jobs.
Sid.
Sid, yes. So they go back to see Sid. So this kind of tells us that they've continued what they did from season 1, where they're doing random odd jobs for her to make money. So they return the stuff that they went to go get to her, and they need to get another mission. And this next mission is not going to be very easy. It's, pretty high profile, in my opinion. But before we get into that, Sid actually has a friend there that they meet. She's kind of sassy and witty. Kind of liked her character, kind of didn't, just because I didn't know what to think about her. But she's kind of like making fun of the clones and saying like, you guys are all supposed to look alike. Talk about a bad quality control kind of a thing. She kind of seemed to have a little bit of a thing for Tech, which was kind of funny. But they're kind of worried about her and her knowing who they are and where they're at, kind of a thing. But Sid tells them to, just be calm and she'll be fine. She's a friend. So they get their new job and they have to go to where Count Dooku's residence was. He had like his own castle, kind of like how Vader has his own castle. And we see that a lot in the Clone Wars show. So if you've seen the Clone Wars show, this area should look very, very familiar to you. So they have to go there and they have to steal some stuff that Dooku had. apparently he had a lot of riches, like not only money, but like artifacts. And he was a very, very rich individual. So they're going there to steal some of this stuff. So they take off, they go to the planet, and their initial thought is to get on one of these crates because they're basically in big shipping units, shipping containers, and the ships that take them away like bunch up a whole bunch of these crates together, and they attach somehow, I guess, is magnetically, and then they take them away. They take them in bunches. So they want to get on one of those, steal what they can, and get out. So they maneuver their way around. It is being patrolled by different clone troopers that are now working for the Empire. All of our Clone 99 group, the Bad Batch, they are sneaking their way towards the different areas, and they do end up splitting. So I believe Hunter and Wrecker stay behind as kind of a lookout, and then the rest of them head towards the crates. Well, I take that back. They all go to the crates at first, and then they split because there's a little scene there where they're in the container, and then Wrecker takes someone out, and they're like, "You got to be quiet." And he's like, "I did it as quiet as I could." So it's kind of a funny little back and forth there. But they do split. The people that are in the crate actually get trapped in there because the crate gets sealed off because they're gonna, take it off the planet. So they have a little bit of an issue there. While that's happening, some of the clones are starting to figure out some stuff is happening, like things are going on. And what the Clone 99 group decides to do is to do a little distraction by blowing some stuff up. That way, all the patrols would leave the area, they could steal their stuff, and then get out. Well, doesn't go according to plan, of course, with those doors shutting. So Wrecker and Hunter try to do what they can to help out, but ultimately they aren't able to do much of anything. And the container actually takes off. Like it's part of the unit that's supposed to take it off world, and that ship starts flying away. They get quite a ways up in the air, and Omega basically gets the idea of she recognizes what kind of container it is, because Tech has been quizzing her on all this different stuff. She recognizes what it is and remembers that it has some engines. So, like, if it's falling to the planet's surface, the engines would kick in and like have a safe landing. So the idea is if we can make it so that these crates are what's the word I'm looking for?
Free falling?
Yeah, detached from the shipment, then they can free fall and then land safely because the safety measures would fire up. So that they get this idea and they go with it, and they start free falling, and that was the end of episode 1. It was kind of funny to see that play out. I can't remember if it. I think we get a little bit more with Hunter and Wrecker in episode 2. They kind of blend a little bit for this part of the sequence. But episode 2 picks right up where the shipping crate is falling. Wrecker and Hunter have their own thing going on. They are heading towards the castle of Count Dooku, and they're trying to maneuver their way through there and hoping to find some other nice riches and whatnot as well. But basically, they end up in the like little
I
throne.
think I think they're trying to find their way back to their ship, but the most direct route is blocked by troopers, so they're having to figure out a different way to reroute themselves through the city or through the tower to be able to get to their ship.
Also note the reason why part of that, like the city is hard to get through, is because it's blown to bits. They make reference that it's kind of like what happened to Camino. And if you haven't seen season 1, spoiler alert, because they just destroyed the cloning facility. So on their way back, they get to the little, like I said, like main office area that Count Dooku has. That's where his, chair is and his desk. and they're being chased by other clones, and they're like having a shooting back and forth. One thing to note while this is going on, our Clone 99 group still has their guns on stun. They are not firing lethal rounds at other clone troopers. They still believe that even though the clones are against them with the Empire, that they're still their brothers. So they don't want to hurt their brothers. The Empire's clones are definitely having their guns set to lethal, and they're trying to, take these people out. But it's good to know of what's going on with the Clone 99, that they're still having that same motive that they had in season 1. It's kind of funny here in this little area for Count Dooku's, main office, because Wrecker and Hunter are trying to have the little pad behind the desk go down, kind of like an elevator or a lift. Hunter's trying to like mess with the computer and get the stuff going. It only goes down a little bit, and Wrecker is like, "I got this," and he starts jumping up and down on the thing to make it go faster. Which is funny because I told Sarah that reminded me of my dad, because he likes to shake elevators and make people scared. Eventually, they are able to get to their ship area, I believe. Kind of fuzzy again on the episode, but Omega and Tech and what's the last one? Echo. They all make it down to the surface of the planet. It's a very, very violent way down to the planet, because they like kind of crash a little bit. The engines weren't perfect, and they actually go over. Well, there's like a cliff, and they get to a point where they're kind of like balancing on and off the cliff, and they think they're okay, and then it starts to tip further and further, and it heads down the cliff, and they make a comment of like, we haven't fully landed yet. And so it goes crashing down a little bit further, and then it gets caught on the side. So like if there's a cliff, we'll just say my thumb is this little thing there. So they're coming down, and then they stop, and the container is vertical. So if they want to get out, they got to go up. They recognize that this is a bad situation, and they are able to get out of the container. Tech is able to splice into it and open the doors. But they get out, they go back up on the cliff, and we meet a new character. It's probably one of the only newer characters in the show so far, aside from Sid's friend. And it's an older man, and he is a citizen of the planet. He's actually pretty interesting. I say that because he helps out the Clone Force 99 for one. He gives them shelter, the 3 of them that are there. There's a little bit of back and forth, some character development. He's acting like I wouldn't say a father figure, but a good friend to Omega. He's showing her a toy as like a kaleidoscope. But the interesting thing about him is that when he finds out that the clones are there to take some money, like steal from the castle, they tell him, you can have some of it too. And he says, I don't want it. I want the Empire to take their money and get out. So his solution to the Empire leaving him alone is just letting them take what they want so they don't have to come back, which I thought was kind of interesting.
His name is Romar.
Romar. Cool. Omega, well, I should just say the clones, because the 3 of them go back. They head back towards the container to see if they can still get what they came there for. And when they get down there, some bad things start to happen. The container starts to move a little bit more. And not only that, but the clones, like the Empire clones, they're trying to search for, the Clone 99 group still. They're on the hunt to see like who disrupted their stuff. And they are coming very fast. They're on speeder bikes searching the grounds for these clones. And eventually they do meet up with them. There is a turret that is at the top of the cliff. Like, so when there's the container, there's a turret up there that one of the clones hops on, is trying to take out people. Really love the sound effects on that turret, by the way. It was really, really cool, especially in surround sound. But one of the clones takes out a couple of the speeder bike dudes. While the people are some of the other clones are stuck in that container. The guy on the turret turns around and like a gunship comes by and is trying to kill them. So he whips around and takes out a gunship, which was pretty cool. While they're in the container, another interesting thing that I wasn't expecting from the episode was that Omega is really, really trying to make the mission successful, and she wants to grab all the money that she can so they can get out. But essentially, they are trying to climb up a rope to get out because the container has shifted a little bit and they can't just climb up. Well, I think it was Tech that told her, like, you got to leave it behind.
Echo.
Echo. It was one of the two. Echo told her that you have to leave the money behind and just leave it. That way they can get out safely. So their mission is a failure in a sense because they end up with no money. Because by the time they get out on they're holding on the rope, that whole container falls and is completely out of sight from the clone.
So one of the big plot points I think of this episode and the whole reason why they're doing this mission is that it's incredibly risky, but the amount of treasure that's at stake is enough to buy them true freedom so that they don't have to keep doing missions. And Omega overhears Echo basically saying it's Omega's fault that we're in all of this mess. So that's why she's so adamant on trying to get this treasure that even at the end, because she's a kid, she's still like, I dropped the treasure. I got to get the treasure. And he's like, it's not worth it. You're not going to live. Like, we need to get out of here. We're going to die. And Heck is the one who, at one point, he had some, during one of the times when the container was shifting, a giant crate, if you will, landed on his leg. And so he has a broken leg right now. So he did not go down the rope to get Omega. He is the one up top at the turret trying to cover them so that they can get out of the container.
And then Hunter and Wrecker do eventually show up and they're able to pick them up. The older guy, you said Romar was his name?
Yeah.
He did not go with them. He stayed back in his home, and hopefully the Empire will leave him alone. But I would also say probably the most shocking thing between the two episodes happens next. We do see I actually pulled this one up because I didn't remember his name. Vice Admiral Rampart. He's the guy that ordered the destruction of the cloning facility on Kamino. He's also the big admiral character that we're seeing in addition to Tarkin. So like Tarkin, we all know who he is, but this is the big guy in charge that's newer to the show. We see him talking to the clone that was in charge of the facility, like the clones that were supposed to handle all the cargo. And the clone is telling Rampart that he clearly saw the Clone 99 group. And Rampart's like, the Empire believes that they're dead. They believe that I was the one that destroyed them. So they can't know about that. And he's like, well, sir, I'm not going to write a false report. And he goes, that's okay. I will. And when the clone turns around, he's got a gun in his face. And Rampart kills his own commander. And we see him fall off the cliff. And there is no way that, he shot him in the arm or something. And, he'll be coming back later. No, they full on showed that the gun was, at face level, and that he felt a very, very far drop. So they kind of set the tone for them as well. I know we talked about with Andor that it was like a very, very different feeling, and they set the tone right away for that show. I feel like they're setting the tone for this show as well, where in the very beginning, the clones were really fun to be around, like on those missions and whatnot. But also, we're going to be seeing more of the Empire doing, very evil things. And the ending of this episode shows it's not just going to be some fun ride. There's going to be some bumps in the road as well. So that's about it between the two episodes. Sarah, what do you think of it?
So I'm going to add in two things that happened that you didn't cover only because I really like them. They're not like major plot points, but one of them being Wrecker when he is with, yes, I know, I'm going back to Wrecker. He's my favorite. He was my
Both our
favorite in
favorites.
season one. Huh?
These both our favorites.
But when he is with Hunter and they're trying to get back to the ship, they tried to take over some other miscellaneous ships, or they're not ships, but they're machines that they want to be able to fire at the clone troopers so that they could try to, get themselves some cover to get away, right? And those ships don't power on, but they find a way to rework these cannons so that Wrecker basically has a handheld cannon blaster. So I thought that was pretty cool to see him because, like he's all pumped and excited because who wants a little pistol when you can have this giant cannon? So seeing him just go through and blowing out troops left and right, I'm assuming on stun. I don't know the difference, to be honest, because they both fall, whether they're stunned or killed. But Jeremy seems to know the difference, so I'm sure he can tell you.
About whether someone's stunned or killed?
Yeah. How can you tell the difference?
When they're firing, when it's set to stun, it's a circle, and
Mm.
it it has its own noise to it. Whereas a blaster bolt, it's like a straight bullet.
So when he's firing that cannon, what is it set to?
I don't remember actually. I would assume it's stun. They don't want to kill.
Right. I didn't know if since he was using their equipment, if he had a choice, if it was just I'm using this because otherwise it means death. Because sometimes you don't really get a choice. But anyway, I really liked seeing him with that blaster cannon. I thought that was awesome. And one of the other small things that I thought was kind of cool was Romar gives Omega when she's trying to be all tough and watching over him to make sure he's not doing something shisty, like about to pull a pistol on them or something, or a blaster. And he's pretty, at least in this episode, he's pretty innocent. He's not really interested in doing anything crazy. He didn't really want to give them shelter, but he wasn't gonna try and screw them over either. But when she's trying to be all tough and, I'm watching over you and stuff, and he gives her a kaleidoscope, and if she doesn't know what it is, because, she's a kid who's been raised with other clones and not other children and not toys. And so, him explaining it's not treasure in there, it's not jewels, it's just something pretty to look at to make you happy. And that's, a big deal. That's important. So just seeing, I really like seeing her character development and watching her learn these life lessons that many of us take for granted because, she doesn't have that kind of interaction with people because all of her friends or brothers, if you will, are these big buff guys that stun and kill, well, not kill, but stun people and, take treasure and go rescue people, and it's all very high stakes, and it's not a whole lot of just chill and have fun. So I thought that was pretty cool to see too.
Popcorn breaks with Wrecker.
This is true. That's another good one. We didn't see that in those two episodes today, but
I thought that was interesting that they didn't call back to that after the first mission with the crabs, because I believe in season 1 that Wrecker made it a point that they do that between every mission. So it would
Yeah,
have been a
but
cool callback.
towards the end of season one, I think is when Hunter realized how big their bill was for that. So I kind of wonder if he put a stop to it once he realized how much they were having to pay for that.
Yeah, but Omega was the one that got all their bill paid off. So she won it in a chess game or whatever.
I don't remember that exact detail. But anyway, yeah, it maybe we'll see that in one of the future episodes. Who knows? Um, but those were kind of the two things that I thought were neat or heartfelt or touching or just plain fun, if you will. And that's really what I like this show for is it's a lot of fun, it's a lot of action, and even some desperation, which it's interesting for me to watch what people do when they're desperate because whether they're, the Bad Batch desperate to try to find safety, whether it's the Empire desperate to try to take down the Bad Batch. People do interesting things when they're desperate, not things that you typically expect. So I like having that mystery of what are they going to do next? What are they going to do to try to figure out how to one up the other team? Um, so that's kind of my thoughts. So far I'm really enjoying it. I liked it. I was sad when we first watched the first episode because we watched at a time where we couldn't watch one and two together. So I had to watch one and then go do something for a few hours to take care of something and then watch the second episode. And I really didn't want to take a break. I wanted to watch episode two, and that is already for me an improvement over Andor. Yes, I'm gonna try not to bring it up a whole bunch, but the fact that I'm excited for the next episode for me is a good sign. I really am looking forward to this show as a whole.
Yeah, I was very excited too after watching these two episodes. Um, I remember last season, basically the way it went is that the first, I don't know, 4 or 5 episodes felt really good, and then it kind of felt like a one-off show in the middle, and then the ending uh, had more purpose to it. So I'm curious to see how this one ends up playing out, just because I know we felt the one-off situation was kind of unsettling, like it slowed down the show. So I'm wondering if it's going to be kind of like last season, where there's a pretty big story stuff in the beginning, one-offs in the middle, and then more story at the end. But
By one off, by one off, do you mean like where they had like three or four episodes that were just individual, didn't connect from one to the next to the next?
where they were just doing random missions.
Gotcha.
It was basically an episode for funsies, kind of a thing.
Sure.
Um, yeah, I'm hoping that the show this time is a little more cohesive and fluid, so to speak, as we go throughout the season. Because I think it's set up to a degree where I'm intrigued enough where I am hoping to see a lot more cool things moving forward. I don't really know where they can go with the show, and I think that's kind of a cool feeling to have because you never know what you're going to discover week to week. Um, and in Dave Filoni we trust, so to speak. So we got this from him and Jon Favreau for a good handful of weeks, and then not too far down the line we'll have Mandalorian. So yeah, I really like this show. I thought it was fun. Uh, it was fun from the get-go. It was fun throughout. I think the first episode was better than the second one, in my opinion, just because it was more engaging. I thought the second episode, although it did have a decent amount of action, um, I do think to a degree the section between Omega, Romar, and the other clones slowed it down a little too much for me. Um, I think if they would have sped that up a little bit more, it would have been better. Um, I think maybe that's because the first episode seemed to have more run and gun and explosions, and the second episode was a little more quiet. So I don't know. They're both really good, but I do think the first one was better than the second one. Um,
Random question for you. Do you know who D. Bradley Baker is? Have you heard that name before?
I feel like I heard that name before.
He is and I just found this out because I was looking at the cast list. He is the voice actor for the entire Bad Batch, minus Omega, of course, as well as Captain Rex and several other captains and clone troopers. I did not know they were all voiced by the same person. I thought that was really cool.
I know like the normal clones were all voiced by the same person because they all have the same voice. Um, I did not know that the Bad Batch necessarily were all different or all the same person as well, even though they have like different tones. But it makes sense. It's kind of like the one person's DNA line just has a different voice or uh dialect, so to speak, the way they present their voice. So
I just thought it was a cool fact to share. I think it's really interesting when I get what you're saying about them all being the same clone but different, because they have their own little quirks. But anytime there's one voice actor doing several different characters all within the same show, I think that's pretty cool.
yeah, I don't. Let's see. I'm just looking at the IMDb here. I don't really recognize a whole lot of people, um, other than uh, Ming Na Wen. I think hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. The person that plays Fennec. That's like the only one that I really recognize. Um, but yeah, that is. Well, I should ask. Anything else you want to say about the two episodes?
No, I think that wraps up pretty good.
Cool. Well, I'm excited to see where this goes. Episode 3, these come out on Wednesdays, so we will be watching that one uh on Wednesday, and hopefully we'll have a video out for you sometime during the weekend. Following, we like to, watch it ourselves, let it marinate a little bit, let you guys have the opportunity to see it as well, and then come together on the weekend to be able to, share our thoughts. So, if you enjoyed this type of video, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. That way you are notified when more of these videos drop. Also, like I said, we'll be doing this every week. So watch out for these episodes. You can check out the playlist. We've had tons of other episode discussions in the past. Some of them were structured a little differently in the past. So if you go to watch those, um, just different ways that we've done it. We've changed it along the way. Check those out. Um, drop us a comment letting us know your thoughts. Also, drop us a like if you like this video. I don't remember if I covered that one. But as always, everybody, thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.